I'm going to start off with a short clip real quick, and then I'll go into my speech.
This is a woman. These are her breasts. They serve an important biological function in childhood, both food source and egg rest. Size and shape of breasts may vary from person to person, but number is constant. 1, 2. These Who wants me to go on? I want this more. Yeah. I didn't want to do this. That's part of the song. These are the openings. That's where the eggs are. Eggs, 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 eggs. Each opening is connected to its very own fallopian tube. These slings down sort of like this, like a little fruit. Leading to the uterus, that this size baby is roughly here. What? Take those. Oh, sorry. What was that? The uterus. Excuse me? This says baby motel. Oh, right. Which brings us to intercourse. Can I have a volunteer for the class?
Okay. So, unfortunately, that's how a lot of children get introduced to sex, is by their peers, and not through great sex education courses. 44% of all teenagers in America today have experienced some type of sexual intercourse. And the average age is around 15 to 16 years old. About 14% of that, they have all experienced at least 4 sexual partners, which is a lot for teenagers. And the biggest problem is our kids aren't getting the proper sex education that we require them to have, or we should require them to have. And a lot of it has to do with morals and values and other things like that, funding and such. Now, the problem is, over 90% of America's population actually is for sex education in schools. But yet we're not doing it. And we're having high numbers of teen pregnancies, high numbers of teens with STDs, HIV, all those types of things. And all because they don't know the truth about sex. Now, there are many things that we can do to help bring sex education into the classroom. Just by putting out simple things, as letting the school board know, the teachers know. We can do, gender exclusive type classes, which is put a bunch of boys in one room, a bunch of girls in another room, bring in a male teacher, female teacher, and let them talk about it. Because we all know 13, 14-year-old kids in the classroom, they get all giggly, they start getting red and embarrassed, and they don't actually get the point across that needs to be across. The other problem is we don't have teachers out there that are educated in sex education themselves. A good thing would be getting nurses involved, bringing them in courses. Having kids learn the proper terminology for the reproductive system. Having them learn the proper terminology for STDs, or even as far as it goes to different sexual positions, different sexual things. Letting kids know that oral sex is still sex. It's not something that you're still a virgin with. Those are the biggest misconceptions a lot of these kids have. Now, I am a product of a teen pregnancy. My mother was 17 years old when she had me. My dad was 16. And hold his hand, you'll get pregnant. If you kiss him, you'll get pregnant. Everything was, if you were next to a boy, you'll get pregnant. And same with my uncle. If you're next to a girl, if you sit next to her, you'll get pregnant. Well, she thought she was going to try to scare him by saying that no matter what they do, they're going to get pregnant. Well, obviously my mom and my uncle knew better than that, but they just didn't know how to go and speak to her about the things that they were feeling inside. Now, even though my mom had me at a young age, she decided to raise me differently. She decided to raise me with talking about sex in the home. And sometimes it was a little embarrassing, and I was doing the mom type deal, you know how we all get sometimes. But in the end, I learned a lot, and I learned how to be a responsible person when it came to sex education and to sex in general. By that, I wasn't afraid to go to my mom and ask her for birth control. My brothers weren't afraid to go to my mom and ask her for condoms. She wasn't always too happy about the situation, but we were being responsible. Now, of course, we always want to promote abstinence with everybody until you're with the right person. It's always the best thing to do. And we don't want to step on anybody's moral high grounds or values or anything like that. So the best thing to do is bring in educators to help educate the parents on how to speak to their children about sex. The biggest problem with parents is they don't know how to actually speak to their kids about it. They have these values and they tell their children, we don't want you to have sex for whatever reason, which is fine. But at the end of the day, your kids are still going to have questions. Their kids are still going to need to know. And we don't want it to leave it up to the school 100%. We also want the parents involved. We want the parents to play the major role here, but we also want to make sure that the kids are getting the education they need. And by doing that, it's very simple. You just bring in nurses or doctors, set up a class one night after school, and start teaching these parents on how to talk to their kids about sex. When we start doing that, we'll definitely dramatically decrease the amount of teen pregnancies, teen STD rates, teen HIV rates. About 10 years ago, when they started implementing some sex education classes, the rate has dropped down. The average back in the early 90s was 55% of teens were having sex, and now it's down to 44. But it's still not a good enough number. It's still not a good enough number to promote the responsible sex. It's up to about 30% of people under the age of 30 have still experienced some type of STD or HIV. That's a huge number. And it's something that we need to start promoting good health in for our youth. It's not about moral high grounds. It's not about, what's right, what's wrong, when we should have sex, when we shouldn't. It's more about sexual health and overall health for everybody involved.